Hello and welcome to part 5 of the inventory from scratch tutorial. Today we're going to be working on adding stack sizes so that you can combine apples or whatever, and you can like have 5 apples in this slot and then 3 here, and then you can combine them and move them around. Whereas right now each slot only has one item in it. So to start off, we're going to open Verse. I'm going to go to the menu because the first thing we're going to do, we're going to add an indicator to show how many items are in slots. So what we're going to do, if we just copy this, I'm just going to make a text block. This we're just going to use this. We're just going to have it as a number. Yeah, it's basically just, I'll call it amount text widget. But yeah, this will just show how many items are in that slot. So I'm going to set the color, just make it white. Then we're also going to set I think the shadow color, that you can see it. The background's a bit darker, or a bit lighter. Then we also need to set the opacity, otherwise the shadow isn't visible. Yeah, so we'll make a quick text block here, and then we're just going to, like here, we're going to add it to the overlay. So, add it here. And we're going to also, like the icon, we're going to set the visibility to none by default, because not all items are going to show the amount, because not all items are going to be stackable. So we'll make that configurable. Yeah, set the widget here, we're going to just align it to the bottom right, so just the alignment there. That should be that, and then we just need to update it when we're setting slot data. So we will grab this. I'll put this here first. So when there's no slot data, we'll just hide the amount text. When there is, we're going to set the visibility based on a flag, or like a variable in the item. So we're going to quickly go do that actually. So what we'll do is we'll go to, where is it, item system. And we shall add a new line here. We'll make it max stack size. And then we're going to set a default value of probably like 10. So this is just every item will have a stack size of 10. And we'll go back to the inventory menu and we will make it so here we'll add basically like an inline if statement. So max stack size is greater than 1, and we'll make it visible. Basically, if it is stackable, which is when the stack size is more than 1, then show the amount text. Otherwise, we'll make it hidden. And then finally, we're just going to call set text. So we're going to set the amount text. We will need to go up here. We're going to need to add another message localizers field. So we'll call this amount message. We're going to make it take in an amount. Then we'll just have the amount here. This is basically just turning an integer into a message type. But you could add something else there. But yeah, so we'll just do amount message. It is a function kind of, and we just pass in the amount, which we should have already done. So if we go to plot data, yeah, we already added an amount field, so we're just going to use that as well. Call that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so this should update on all items. It should say like 1 in the bottom right now. I'm not going to bother pushing changes. Yeah, so we've got it displaying in the menu. Now we just need to make it so that items actually get stacked. So we'll probably go into the item system first and configure the stack size on some items. I think we're going to make it apples stacked to 5. We're going to make it so batteries stacked to 1, so they don't have a stack size basically. And then schools, we could just leave as the default, which will be 10. Yeah, that should be that for that far, and the remaining stuff should be in the actual inventory. So if let's go down to insert. So we're going to make it so when you go to insert an item, it looks for a free slot, or it looks for a slot that has an item already in it that it can merge with. If we're inserting an apple, and in the first slot we have an apple that is stacked like 1 out of 5, then we can increase the amount in that slot rather than inserting it into a new slot, so we can basically combine them, we can merge slots. So to do that, we're gonna first go to the insert slot data, and we're just gonna have to. So when we're looping through, we're gonna add an OR statement here. We're gonna basically say if this. So this is basically checking if the slot is empty. But we're going to add an OR that checks if we can actually merge a slot instead. So before we do that, let's add another line here, which is gonna call this can merge slot data. So it's just going to take in 2 lots of slot data, and it's going to check if they can merge into the first. This can merge into the second one. So we'll call this target, and then it's going to return nothing. We're going to make it a transact and a decides. But basically, we'll just make it fail if the items can't be merged. So we'll just do. The only thing we're going to check right now is that the item IDs are the same. So basically, if the slot data has the same item ID, then we're going to allow it to be merged. And we're actually going to check if there's space. We're going to check if this slot data has enough space to fit any more. So we'll just get the item. So we'll do item equals. We're just going to get items because we need to check the max stack size. We're going to check if the current amount in that target slot is less than the stack size. Basically, if it can take any amount. If it's at max stack size, then we're not going to bother trying to do any merging. If it isn't, we will try to merge. So let's go over to the insert slot data, and so this is basic. Currently, it's checking if that slot is free, then do something, but we want to check if it's free or if we can merge data. So then we need to this basically if we can merge into the. So that's the data we want to merge. This is the target slots data. Yeah, we're also going to need to grab this line here because we just need to check. We need to check something against the stack size. So we're going to need to get the config for the item. Yeah, let's start off by trying to decide how much, or like what amount we can merge into a slot. So if this slot has like 2 apples in it and the stack size of an apple is 5 and we have 10 apples we're trying to merge into it, we only want to add 3 to this slot. We're going to bring that slot up to the max stack size and then keep the remaining amount in this slot. So that would be just like 7, and then that would be 5. Actually, it would depend on the max stack size. Yeah, so we're going to decide what amount to insert into a slot, and we'll make it so basically this will keep looping until, or the insertion will like keep trying to insert until it's finished inserting the required amount. So let's add a variable up here actually. We're going to call remaining amount, which is just going to be equal to this amount. We've made it a variable because we'll just decrement it whenever we insert some items. So yeah, so we're going to decide how much. We're going to decide how much to add or how much this slot should be. So existing slot data equals whatever data is in that slot we're trying to insert into. So if it's empty, we'll just probably insert the full amount. So let's do that. So this is if there's no data in that slot, then we're going to set the slot amount equal to the item stack size, the remaining amount. Basically, this is going to set the slot amount equal to the remaining amount we need to insert, but it's also going to make sure that it doesn't go over the max stack size of that item. So what we could do here is we could just decrease the remaining amount by the slot amount. There we go. That should handle if there's no item in that slot. We're just going to insert as many as we can into that slot. And then if there is data already in that slot, then we're going to set the slot amount equal to we're going to try and bring that slot up to the max stack size. Yeah, we'll probably just copy this code here. Then we're not going to do remaining amount. We're going to do the existing slot data. The existing slot data's amount plus the remaining amount. Again, it's going to cap it at the max stack size. Then we're going to take from the remaining amount. We're going to take off the slot amount, but we need to find basically the difference. So if this slot already had 2 in and we brought it up to 5, then we're only adding 3 items to that slot. So we're gonna do slot of the new slot amount, take the existing amount, which should give us the amount we've added, and then we're taking that away from the remaining amount. And all that's left is that we just need to update the actual slot data. So if we do here, we'll just do item ID equals the existing ID. The amount is just going to be this variable here. And then, so we're not going to return true unless until the remaining amount is less than or equal to 0. There you go. So once it's basically finished inserting the required amount, it's going to return true. And if it doesn't insert the amount we want, it's going to return false. So let's quickly build code and then push changes and load into game, and we'll have a look. Right, we've loaded into game, so I'm going to press I to open the inventory, and then if we insert some items, we'll see that we've got an apple, we've got a skull, and so we can see that the skull has 5, and the apple has 4, and if we keep inserting, it's going to finish off those stacks, then it's going to make new ones. But right now, there's no merging, it's just going to swap the slots. So if I select 5 apples here and move it into the 3, we want to move 2 of those apples there. But right now, it just kind of swaps the slots around, which kind of gives off the same solution, but it's not really what we want for this. This is 7 right here and 5, and we want to merge them into a stack of 10. But I'm also noticing that there's no shadow on the number, so we're going to quickly have a look at that. To fix the shadow not showing, we just need to also specify the shadow offset. If you just add this to the amount text widget, it will just specify the offset of the shadow from the actual text, and it should, if you load again, it should now have a little shadow, and it should be easier to tell what the number is a little bit. But so next we're going to make it so that we can combine slots when we move them. So again, just in the tutorial inventory, and this time we'll just do it in the try move item. So we're basically just going to check if a slot can be combined, then try and combine the amount. So let's first change this optional slot data into variables. So this means that we can change it later on. And we need to specify the type, which should be slot data. Leave that as it is. And then we're just going to copy this line, and we're going to move it because before we update the slot, or actually set the slot data, we're going to need to decide what the amount is and check if we can merge it. So if the target slot has data, and then we'll copy the can merge slots as well. We're going to check if we can merge our from slot data into the to slot data. Then if we can, we're going to try and combine the amounts. So we're going to do amount to add equals, again, we're going to do min of the stack size, which we will need the item definition again. Do that. We should be able to do that here. So it's pretty similar to before, but we're just going to cap it at the stack size. We're going to get the to slot data.amount, and we're just going to add the from slot data.amount. Which basically we're going to try and make that slot bring it up to the max stack size if we can. And then what we're going to do is going to actually take away the to slot data amount. So we're going to take away the previous amount because we're trying to find the amount we want to add to that slot. And then we can actually just copy this update slot data here. Then if we get this, we're going to need to make a new slot data struct. We want to do to slot data item ID. Then amount is going to be equal to the existing amount plus the amount to add. The reason we have this as a separate variable is because we're going to need to take the amount to add away from like the previous slot data. So when we swap it back, or when we swap it back, we can put that amount back in the previous slot, or like whatever the amount remaining is. So we'll just get that now. Let's do amount remaining is the from slot data amount. Take the amount we added, and then we're gonna check if amount remaining it's greater than 0. So if there's still some data there, then we're going to update the amount. Otherwise, we'll just clear that slot. So update the from index probably, or actually we're going to do that further down. So we'll just set this actually. We'll do set optional slot data equal to, we need to put an option, squiggly brackets. But yeah, so we're going to basically change the data in here to the new remaining amount. So we'll just put the amount remaining here. And then, yeah, so if the amount remaining isn't greater than 0, then we basically want to clear it. So we're going to clear the previous data. So we'll just set this to false. So that means that down here, it's not going to try and put the data back in the previous slot. It's just going to clear it, or it's going to update it with the new amount. Yeah, we're going to need an else here, actually. Going to be so basically if it can't be merged, then we're just gonna we'll just put this here. So we're gonna call update slot data for the target index with the from slot data. So we're just gonna move it in directly without modifying the amount. Whereas up here, we're modifying the amount, then modifying the previous value. When it gets swapped, the value is changed. That should be it. So if we push changes and load into game, we should be able to combine slots. Now we're in game. If we insert items, they should still increment like that. And then you see here we have 4 schools and 3 schools. So if we move this into here, it should combine, and now we have 7 schools. They still swap normally. Then if we add some more, we can combine them. If we add another one, that should be max stack now. If we click on that, it's just going to swap them. It's not going to merge. And if we try and merge a 10 into a 2, it will just make that a 10 and that a 2, which is basically just swapping. And then again, we can combine, swap. That should be it. But you will notice if we select this and use, it's going to use the whole stack. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that it only uses one when you click use. So if we go back here, and it should be the item system code. Down here we have it so when you use an item, it just clears the slot. So we're going to instead check if the slot data amount is greater than 1. So, and then we'll just make this an else. If there's only one item in that slot and we use it, then we're just going to clear it. But if not, we're going to update the slot data. So we'll just do update slot data, which is going to take an index and the slot data. So we'll put the index there, make a new struct slot data, and then we're going to set the item ID to be the same as that. Then we're just going to decrease the amount by 1, which should just be slot data.amount, big 1. Then if we push changes, we should have that working. With the new changes pushed, when we've got some items inserted, I've got 5 apples and 2 schools. If I use one of these, it should only decrease the amount by 1. And let's try it with some schools. So that decreases their health twice by using 2. And then if we click each one, each use is going to do the action, and it's only going to use one. And then if we do the last use, it should clear it. And that should work as we want. Okay, that should be it for this tutorial series. I might make some extensions, but yeah, that's the core part. Thanks for watching. Make sure to join the Discord if you need any help. Thank you.